All right, and welcome in, everybody, here to the Two Guys in Beer podcast studio here in beautiful chilly Minnesota.
It's a little chilly. Yeah, I hate this state. I'm sick of winter already.
And when it's really, what's funny is the old Minnesota saying, it's actually not that bad right now because the wind isn't going. There's not much of a wind chill, it's not so bad. Wednesday it's supposed to, I think, get a pretty heavy wind on that one too.
Yeah, I think they're talking some sno sticking on the ground here. Shovelable.
Shovelworthy.
Is that even a word? Shovelable.
Well, I got the plow on the side by side, but I got to get the snowblower on the tractor before I get too deep into winter.
No, some of us don't have tractors, so no. I got the snowblower, the snowplow up on my side by side about a month ago. Greased everything, changed fluids, ready to go. But I did just order a new toy. I don't know how well it'll work, but I keep seeing them on the social media, so I ordered an attachment.
Well, obviously social media.
There's a mosquito in here. Can you believe that?
What is
wintertime and there's mosquito buzzing around.
It talk about a hardy animal surviving through. I think I missed it. I'm not really sure.
We're not supposed to see those at this time of year.
I know. Got all sorts of chaos going on in here.
Right. So the attachment I ordered was for my weed whip. You can put it's like a snow brush or snow blower at the end of your weed whip. It's like a motorized shovel, basically.
Huh. I guess I've seen them where
it's like 12 inches.
And it rotates kind of like, I think I've seen those for like power brooms, for commercial shops or something like that. But
so you can just attach it right to the weed whip.
Suppose.
I have an electric weed whip. It's the only electric thing that I own, like with battery packs, it actually works pretty well. It's a 40-volt system. I thought, well, heck, if I can throw some snow with that in the paths that I need to shovel instead of using the side-by-side because that doesn't fit.
Right.
Well, that'll be better than shoveling.
Well,
so we'll see.
We have that battery snowblower here.
Oh.
I just do like the little parking spot out here.
Sure.
So it's not really I don't do the whole driveway with that thing. That thing's a little subpar for that.
That works pretty well, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
I mean, the batteries don't last. I mean, they last for what I'm doing.
Sure.
I'll be out there for an hour or two or something like that. But if it's big heavy snow, I got to go a little bit more gingerly on there because it'll fritz out and it'll just stop and be like, knock it off.
Well, 1 to 2 hours is still pretty good, I suppose.
Absolutely.
For a battery power thing. I still prefer fossil fuels with my machinery, but some of those little smaller battery things are kind of worth it. They do have a purpose, but maybe like you said, not for the whole driveway. But,
yeah. Well, and I'm not going to take the tractor and the parking spots I would do with the tractor before or whatever, but the path going back and forth here, that's definitely just a little battery jobby. Makes it a lot easier. So
what else is nice to do when it gets cold out?
Sit inside and drink beer.
It is. So what kind of beer we got this time?
Sit inside and drink beer and think of Hawaii as we bring you the tale of Kona Brewing Company as the hula is available here.
I'll show you my hula later.
There we go. I can't wait. Looking forward to that.
They all are, man. They all are.
So we're traveling to the Big Island. The Big Island, potentially. There may be some controversy with that as we read into that a little bit more and discuss more of the history of Kona Brewing Company. We got a couple of different options up here as our selection. The mix pack that we got, pretty widely available. You can get it most alcohol shops, liquor stores, whatever they call them. You can get them most places. Probably the most popular that you're going to see almost everywhere is going to be the Big Wave. That's going to be your kind of golden ale. You're going to see that on tap a lot of places. That it's pretty widely distributed. The Longboard is maybe one of their more popular ones, the Longboard Lager. Then the couple of them that we're going to have today are going to be the Gold Cliff IPA with pineapple and natural flavors, and then the Hanalei Island IPA with passion fruit, orange, and guava in that one. So lots of different options.
Sounds pretty tasty.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So if we're going to get that cracked off, we probably better get the best part of the episode going.
We better open her up.
That what that whole? It's just a.
We should fix a basket under there.
There we go.
Yeah.
We could make a little basketball hoop out of there. There we go. I like that. It's a good plan. This one's a little bit
Yeah.
deeper, but I think that goes into the middle.
It does.
That
go
one is going to be more of a
right.
stack we'll never get back.
Next thing you know, we'll get we'll get some shorts in our equipment and throwing stuff in there.
Exactly.
Well, here we go. Well, Gold Cliff IPA. All right, fresh brewed with pineapple and natural flavor added. So here we go.
Definitely get the pineapple a little bit. I don't know if
sure.
sweet is really the way to put it, but it is. It says right there, big label with real tropical pineapple.
I wonder if
So-
they get their pineapple from the Dole Plantation on Oahu.
Maybe.
Fresh pineapple there is amazing.
I don't know that I've never been to Hawaii, so I guess I'm not big on pineapple though. I like the pineapple flavor, but the stringiness, it's a texture thing for me.
Sure.
I can't do it.
So I'm not big on pineapple either, and it's not a texture thing. I just didn't really care for the flavor a whole lot. Maybe because the pineapples are kind of crunchy, but I'm telling you, when you go to the Dole Plantation on Oahu and you order some Dole Whip with fresh crushed
Dole Whip.
pineapple around the Dole Whip and you're scooping that in your mouth, it's like your taste buds are jumping for joy. It's like little explosions in your mouth.
Just get
it is
a shovel.
amazing. Oh my gosh.
Huh.
It is awesome.
I'm gonna have to keep that one in mind. There was discussion of potentially going to Hawaii maybe this winter. I don't know that it'll happen, but that'd be a little bit of an aggressive kind of turnaround. But
It seems like a good discussion.
well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Well, because we were talking cruise, but that's like 6 weeks away, so it's a little hard to kind of like wrap that up, that quickly.
Sure.
So, but a friend of ours has like a timeshare somewhere in Hawaii. I don't know where, but
Oh,
we were
nice.
looking at the flights and we're like, maybe not this year. We'll see. That's in
is-
February, so that's only a couple months.
It is an expensive
So.
place to go to. That is for sure. I took my daughter there. We went there. Holy cow! 7 years ago.
Oh, geez.
is when we were there. Yeah. And the reason I know it's 7 years ago is because, well, we were supposed to attend the Linkin Park concert 2 weeks later. And what happened 2 weeks beforehand?
That it's a tragic day in history.
The tragic day, yes. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, Gold Cliff IPA, man, it sure does taste like pineapple. Actually, so far, I'm really liking this beer more than I was suspecting I would, because I've had Big Wave a lot. Like you said, it's pretty readily available.
Yeah.
You can find Big Wave even at concerts and outdoor events. It's fairly common.
Yeah.
Not a huge fan of Big Wave.
It's okay. I don't mind it.
This is
this
pretty
is
good. I would drink some of this.
the Gold Cliff. I think they're referring to an actual location because the picture on it does have a guy leaping and diving off of golden looking cliff. So I'm assuming it's a reference to a certain spot. We'll try to see if we can find out a little bit more as we go along. But kind of that golden pineapple flavor really comes through on that one. Like I don't even get. I get a little IPA, but it's very light on the hops side of
It
things.
is.
It is an IPA, but it's not real.
You
Not
couldn't-
powerful.
Yeah,
I
you
guess.
couldn't tell it, I
Yeah.
suppose. I mean, I guess you can tell, but you can't tell if that makes any sense whatsoever.
Yeah, you could convince me that this is just a regular ale, not an IPA. So it's a little bit less hops,
Yeah, not the bittery portion of the hop. Yeah.
somewhere in that range. So, but nonetheless, let's dial her up here. Let's get the show started here. As there's a little bit of controversy because as you look on the bottle, let's see here on this bottle and see if this one does the exact same thing. Yep, it does. It says brewed by Kona Brewing Company, which you conjure the idea of, Gold Cliff IPA and Hanalei IPA and Longboard. We're going to the Big Island. We're going
Big
to Hawaii.
Wave.
Brewed by Kona Brewing Company, Portland, Oregon, and Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
What a bunch of liars.
Which, by my math, neither one of those things are on the Big Island. I'm not sure, but I haven't looked at. It's been a while since I played the "Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego" board game.
Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
we'll talk a little bit about where that is. I used to love that show when I
That
was
was
a
a
kid.
great
Oh my
show.
god, it was so great.
Did you
And it
play
was-
the video game in high school too? On
See, I
the
never played the
computer?
video game. No, but I always
It was
wanted
so
to.
much fun.
But it was always so frustrating watching the episode, and you're like, it's right there. The Philippines are right there. And they'd look around with the sign, and they had no idea where to go.
No clue what they were doing.
It was so sad.
That was a great part of life.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Great part of growing up.
I got to find, maybe on YouTube I can find some old episodes of that or whatever.
Hey, did you ever watch Legends of the Hidden Temple?
See, I didn't watch a lot of that at all. No,
was
I've
another
seen
good
some highlights and
show.
stuff since then, but I wasn't big on watching that.
Or Funhouse. Did you ever watch Funhouse?
TV Funhouse?
I don't know. It was a game show they would run through and like try to grab things.
Oh, I don't remember that.
That's the
one.
best I can describe it. I was
Right.
like 6. I just remember I liked it, and I had the Nintendo game,
Oh,
and that Nintendo game sucked.
that's so
It was
good.
hard.
I remember American Gladiators, and I was always convinced that I could be on that show.
Laser.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, it was just everybody had the epic names, and then they tried to bring it back a handful of
Turbo.
years ago. That was terrible.
Yeah.
That was just a terrible decision.
Ice.
It was it's even fun now looking back and watching some of those. I mean, like the outfits and like the way they have even like the padding and the gear is just completely ridiculous. But I mean, at the time, oh my God, the eliminator at the end, you had to wait a certain amount of times before you could start running up the backwards treadmill.
There's a a great
so good.
documentary on Netflix about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, watch it. I watch it.
I'll
It's
have
super
to check
good.
that out. That looks
How
amazing.
it came about. Anyways,
So we're gonna first kind of dive into on their website, kind of what they go over. Founded by a father and son team, Cameron Healy and Spoon Kalsa. The pair had a vision to reflect the spirit and the culture and the beauty of Hawaii in a collection of local craft beers. In 1994, they set out for the Big Island to bring their dreams to life. So they went to the Big Island to be able to kind of get this going. Flash forward to today, Kona has become one of the most widely popular craft beer brands in the world. With that being said, it's been able to stay true to Hawaiian roots through innovation, sustainability, and community outreach. We'll get into that a little bit more later. We know we've talked numerous times on the podcast about sustainability and things like that, giving back. But they have a lot of things that they do a lot of innovative things to be able to, stay kind of sustainable.
seems right on par with most craft breweries or microbreweries.
And they are still headquartered on their website, and it does legit say they are still headquartered where it all began, Kailua, Kona, on Hawaii's Big Island. So that's kind of where we start our adventure here. Again, we'll stick with a little bit of their website, but we'll also kind of do some research here on some of the other locations. They got some of their information, and it gets a little interesting, when you start getting into the nitty gritty of where is it actually made. Dum, dum, dum. I feel like we need like a Law and Order theme there or something.
Wouldn't that be funny? Darna. We need one of those sound effects buttons.
There we go. Dum, dum. So founded back in 1994, Cameron Healy and his son Spoon Kalsa combined their love of Hawaii and the natural pristine beauty of the island with a fondness of delicious local beers. Lucky for us, the dream continues to live on through the aloha type of phrase. So that's mostly what's out there on their website. So now going over to some different areas here to be able to do that. It's a brewery and pub headquartered in Kailua, Kona on Hawaii's Big Island. So there is still a pub there, and that's one of the things that they have. It's not just a distributor like Anheuser-Busch. You don't really go to a tap room that's Anheuser-Busch. Maybe you can. I guess I don't know where you would even do something like that. But that would be almost kind of cool. Maybe they have it at the actual. I don't think that Miller Coors did when we did the tour the one time.
Yeah, we got beer after the tour there.
Yeah, but I don't think it was like a tap room, was it?
That
was a lot of years ago. We may have to go. We may have to go
remember.
again.
Yeah.
We may have to go again.
I remember there being quite a few people there, but I don't remember if people were just going into the tap room to drink, or if it was just after the tour. Yeah, that I can't remember.
Yeah.
I'd assume Anheuser-Busch kind of has the same gig.
Right.
At
I mean,
least
it's
at the
so
end of the
big.
tour.
It's not like you're going to go to. I mean, you're going to go to like, locally here. You're going to go to 320 Brewery. You're going to go to Brickfield Brewery, which we're going to have some of those here coming up on future episodes. So make sure you keep following along here. Like, share, subscribe, like the whole bit there with that one. You don't really. I don't know that you have like a Busch Light bar.
I hope not. That would be terrible.
That would be kind of interesting, though.
That would be terrible.
I'm sure there'd probably be like a lot of camo involved. Maybe some lawnmowers parked out front. Yeah. That is a high on the lawnmower scale.
Some side by sides,
Absolutely.
Couple tractors. I don't
100%.
know what it is with Busch Light in this specific area of the country. Why everybody likes Busch Light.
It's a good, easy, smooth drinking beer.
It's a terrible light beer, though.
It is kind of crazy how much you can't go to a bar around like rural Minnesota and rural Wisconsin without having at least one tap be Busch Light.
Right.
And I do say that literally, that sometimes they'll have 2 taps that are Busch Light.
Well, and it sells a lot. How much Busch Light did you sell out of your bar?
Oh, a lot.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's unreal. Yeah. Mick Golden was always the number one.
It's
but
ridiculous.
It was right up there.
You know what's better than Busch Light is Michelob Ultra.
Ooh, I do like me some Ultra.
I'll drink some Ultra. My wife drinks Ultra, and I kind of drink it from time to time, and it is way better than Busch Light.
If I'm drinking something light, it's going to be, likely an Ultra. It's actually what I have in my fridge over in my house right now.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, that and Modelo.
Pretty sure I have some Ultra at home, too. I always have Coors Light. I kind of like the Coors Light when I drink a light beer. But when I like IPAs, I like the Kona.
There we go.
The Golden Cliff.
And now we've got the Gold Cliff going here. So the sister location, there's also another location in Hawaii, Kai on Oahu, formerly owned by the Craft Beer Alliance. Kona is now owned by PV Brewing Partners. That's been September of 2020.
Oh, okay.
So it doesn't give me a link to be able to find out more about that, but
Oahu.
It is... Oh, here we go. PV Brewing. Never mind. This page has not been created yet. Never mind.
I guess there's no
I'm not going to that
there.
one. Yeah. So they have multiple different kinds. They say that they have approximately 10 different styles that are brewed on a regular basis and served only to the local Hawaii market at the Kona Brewing, a locally operated pub. So we don't even get the opportunity. Got him. That was the last surviving winter skeety, and that guy is done. So it's only available locally, Kailua Kona and Hawaii Kai, along with restaurants all over the island. So most of what they offer, you can only get there.
Sure.
Which, I follow. Makes sense.
Rightfully so.
It's the state's longest running craft brewery, which I guess I don't know how many craft breweries are on Hawaii, but I haven't been there, so I'm unaware on that one.
Yeah, I didn't even notice when I was there. I wasn't really looking for one, though, either at the time. So
I'll try to be more cultured and get to places more worldly.
Culture yourself, Andy.
But it grew into the nationally recognized brand. It was established as an independent brewery separate from the mainland's Anheuser-Busch operation, which was the mission to create fresh local craft beers exclusively for Hawaii. So originally started there, and then it sounds like this PV Brewing is part of Anheuser-Busch, but it's a different one that's more focused on remaining local with that one. So probably just kind of a subsidiary of that. But it's still located right down the road from the original Kona Brewery and Brew Pub. The new brewery has an annual capacity of 100,000 barrels and includes a canning line. This 30,000 square foot brewery is one of the most sustainable breweries in the world. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But they generate their own solar energy and store solar energy there. They also recover CO2 from its fermentation process to be able to use with the production, and they recover and purify water for cleaning and irrigation. So a lot of sustainability efforts with that. They've also made huge strides in the local community through their Makana Giving Program. Community initiative provides support for local nonprofits that align with Kona Brewing's Hawaii pillars to protect our environment and enrich the quality of life for all. Previous support has gone to the Eddie Aikau Foundation and the Waipia Foundation for Surfrider and Hawaii chapters.
Wow, that sounds interesting. I feel like the quality of my life is improved every time I take a drink.
Absolutely, I completely agree. So I'm doing my best with the pronunciation. I'm usually pretty good with pronunciation, but Some of the Hawaiian names are a little more challenging
That's why you do the reading.
because there's a lot of punctuation that I've never seen before. So trying to kind of make it work. So the year-round beers, the Longbourn Lager, the Golden Ale, the Big Wave, the Gold Cliff IPA, and the Island IPA. These are the 4 that we have in our mix pack here. Other ones that they have for year-round beers: Castaway IPA, Fire Rock Pale Ale, and the Kona Light Blonde Ale.
Castaway, huh?
So they have a couple of different Wilson. That was a good movie.
I wonder
It
if
was
he
a
had a
long
Kona.
movie.
He should have had a Kona on that island.
He should have.
He probably would have enjoyed one.
Might have been a couple of them on the ship on the plane. That's
that was
when it
a
went down.
super long movie, actually.
That
now
was
you
a
say
it was
that.
a very long movie.
Tom Hanks is a super good actor, though.
Oh, yeah.
He's one of the best.
Mm-hmm.
Him
I
and
completely
Denzel
agree.
Washington, I think, are neck and neck for probably my favorite.
Yeah. Dude, speaking of Denzel, apparently I have heard that the new Gladiator movie,
Watched
terrible,
it yesterday.
just garbage. That's what I've heard. I haven't seen it.
So I would disagree.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I thought the new Gladiator movie was pretty awesome. I was kind of surprised when they made a second one, the way the first one ended. I
Right.
mean, Russell Crowe.
There's nowhere to go with it,
Russell
really.
Crowe is a good actor, too, and he, I don't know, dies in the first one. Spoiler alert if
Yeah,
you've never watched the first one.
Sorry. Apologize.
So Denzel Washington, I think, did a good job in this one. It was weird to see him in that type of role, but I think he did a good job with that. I thought the movie was great. I think the way they expanded on the story was great. And I don't really want to tell you what happens in that movie,
Right.
but
Yeah. And I wouldn't want you to.
surprised at what happened. But I would definitely recommend you go watch it. That's for sure. Anybody out there, go watch the movie for sure.
Right. Well, and I feel like I still want to at some point, but yeah, they were talking about it on the radio, and it wasn't exactly glowing reviews on that
That's
one.
weird because it was very much like the first one. Of course, the storyline is taking a turn because Russell Crowe,
Right.
Maximus, obviously passes away in the first one. In the main gladiator of the second one, which I will say that at least to not give anything away, is Maximus Aurelius' son.
Huh.
Is the new gladiator.
Interesting.
And Denzel Washington coaches him
Right.
to fight in the arena. So,
Interesting.
but I'll leave it at that. But
Yeah. I'll have to check that out at some
it's
point.
definitely worth a watch. So.
The other part that I was going to mention with that is The Equalizer, which is a big movie franchise, the 3 movies that he had.
Yeah.
Apparently, they have had discussions, and they feel that there's room for growth even with that character, and they've now signed on for potentially 2 more movies there.
Oh, cool.
Which the first one was, you want to talk about badass. Like,
They're
that first one was pretty
Super
epic.
badass.
Yeah, I have not seen the third one yet, but I've seen clips of the third one, which looked sweet. Second one was pretty good, but it felt like it kind of drifted a little bit off
Sure.
with the storm situation.
Now, the third one, I've seen all 3, but I don't remember which is which. Wasn't he in Italy or
Yep.
something? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I saw the third one. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was awesome.
yeah, it looked like it'd be sweet. Yeah, I don't know.
Almost-
It's pretty fun.
Almost anything with Denzel Washington is awesome.
Right.
Almost. He's got a couple bad movies. You're like, really? Like, you did that? Okay, whatever. But it's still Denzel.
Yeah, absolutely. So Denzel, and I do also agree on the other side of things that Tom Hanks is quite amazing as well.
He does a good job.
So yeah, and in so many different wide-ranging roles too. Like
That's why he
a lot
does
of them
such
are
a good
kind of
job.
similar, but he does like various different things all over
Sure
the place.
does.
So
Big. Remember Big?
yep.
What a
Big was
great
great.
movie. He's dancing on the keyboard in the toy store, jamming out.
Saving Private Ryan is probably one of my
That was
favorite all-time
another good
movies.
one. That was awesome. Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump is one of my favorite all-time movies. Saving Private Ryan's up there for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, some good movies out there. But yeah, Tom Hanks did not find any Kona or
He
even
unfortunately
Busch Light
he didn't find any of that.
on his.
Neither did Wilson.
I was trying to remember. I'm like, how did we get here? What were we talking about again? Okay, it's fine.
island
We
beer.
just, tootle off into the. I had this conversation with somebody just the other night or whatever. We were talking about. It's fine. It's Tangent Tuesday on a Monday. That's just what happens. We talk about whatever. And just the we'll get back to it. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
We'll get in there.
So, but that's right. She actually thought that was funny. She enjoys the episode. Thought that it was pretty good. So, hello to Angie on that one. So, just kind of fun to chat about that.
Hi, Angie.
So, she's gonna get us.
Angie,
She's gonna get us set up with some Colorado beer.
Oh, perfect.
So, I believe, if I remember correctly, you can feel free to shoot me a message and yell at me afterwards when I get it wrong. But I believe Colorado Springs-ish area.
Okay.
So, but I know
Some
that the Denver
local
area is
beer.
kind of a pretty hotbed for brewing, and Colorado
Some local
Springs
beer
pretty
to
good.
that area.
Mm-hmm.
Because what have we done from there? We've done Breckenridge and Fat Tire. Isn't that from
Yep.
out there? Yeah, we've done those
So,
two. on
New
the show,
Belgium,
so,
yeah.
New Belgium. Yep.
Yeah. So a couple of them from that area. So,
Yeah.
but we're gonna get some additional options. That's for
Perfect.
sure. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. So
Ship them on over, Angie.
that will be upcoming for sure. So, back to the story
Kona.
of Kona here as we take another drink of the Gold Cliff IPA. So much talking, I got to make sure I keep my throat,
right.
moist and ready to go.
Keep it going.
So there's a couple of beers that they only do on the island. Island Colada Wheat Ale, the My Time Wheat Ale, and the Hibiscus Brut IPA. So a couple of different options with that one. Kind of cool. So here's where some of the controversy starts to come into play. In 2012, Kona Brewing Company produced 220,000 U.S. barrels of its beer from Kona Brewing and its other production facilities on the mainland. And that's what I was talking about, the other production facilities on the mainland. That's where things start getting a little bit mucky and getting a little bit weird as far as where it's from. It's still headquartered on the island, but, it's kind of like, it's less of a big thing if you're, like Leinenkugels. We talked about this before, that, it's based in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, but primarily it's produced by Anheuser or by a Miller Coors. And so it's usually mostly made in Milwaukee. There's really very little that's made at that location. Of course, they're now closing it down.
Yeah.
I think they're still going to do the tours, though. That's what I've heard. I'd have to
okay.
double check, but I think they're still going to do the tours. So not like everybody's just losing their jobs. You're not going to make any more beer there, which
Sure.
they haven't really been making a lot for a long time.
Not too
anyway.
much there. Yeah, we'll have to dig into that a little bit.
So that's one of those things, because to be able to up produce, you either have to build bigger facilities or be able to contract with somebody that can do that. And that's what a lot of smaller breweries, if they want to get bigger, they'll just contract with somebody else. That way they can kind of keep their small brewery feel and their tap room and things like that. You see that with a lot of different breweries. And it's usually not that big a deal because, like the Leinenkugels one, it's only a couple hours down the road still in Wisconsin. Yes, it's on a massive scale and a completely different thing, but you can still go to the thing. This one's a little different because it's not like it's just on one of the other islands. Like, it's on the mainland. So it's, how do you have an authentic Hawaiian feel when you're being bottled in Washington?
Right.
So that's where some of their production facilities are. They have agreed with Widmer Brothers in Portland, Oregon, which Widmer is pretty good. That's pretty solid brewery as well. And then Red Hook Brewery in both Woodinville, Washington, and Portsmouth, New Hampshire. So multiple different locations that they brew on the mainland to be able to get up to that production. Because if you remember, they have the new facility that produces up to 100,000 barrels. So that's how they get to the 220,000 barrels, because they were able to distribute a little bit wider because they can make a little bit more. But you can't just do it yourself unless you build up quite a bit more. So
They've got a facility on each side of the country, Washington and New Hampshire.
which is brilliant.
Yeah.
And since those are also subsidiaries of the Craft Brew Alliance, they were also granted access to the Anheuser-Busch distribution network, which that's a little far-reaching. So that's probably a reason why we see Big Wave almost everywhere.
Sure.
So, but that's how they're able to get, through a lot of places like that. They have some of the most technologically sophisticated distributor system in the country, with computer terminal and thousands of independently owned distributors and its own network of wholly owned distribution branches. That's the Anheuser-Busch distribution network, which is no surprise really at all, knowing that. So recipe and beer specifications are dictated by Kona Brewing Company's brewmaster, but again, made all over the country. And I do mean the country because it does include Hawaii, obviously. So it is in different locations. Beer brewed at Kona Company's brewing partners utilize Kona's hops, malt, and proprietary yeast. So in order to be able to create that consistent taste. So they are doing everything they can to still make it legit, I guess, if that makes sense. Again, this is a lot less of a big deal if instead of in, Portland, Oregon, if this brewery was, I don't even know what else is in, like Eugene, Oregon. You know what I mean? And they just are made an agreement there to be able to produce it there.
Right.
But when you talk about the island feel, I think that's where you kind of get yourself into, some hot water. So, water is a huge thing too, because as we all know, like without good water, you're not going to get good beer. You have to have good water that tastes a certain way. There are so many breweries that have adjusted what they're doing and how they make their beer just based on water. Surly, when they built their new tap room, had to spend a lot of time doing water samples to make sure they were in the same water table as where they were in their previous one before they built a new one. There is a brewery that I had been to called Ankro Lab, Ankro Lab in Florida. Kind of, I believe, by Naples, if I remember correctly. I'd have to double check. Actually got talking with the owner a couple years ago. It was kind of funny. So Ankro Lab, what do you suppose that stands for? Well, nothing at all whatsoever. He said that he tried to submit a million different names and they kept getting rejected. And so he's finally like, okay, well, ANK, those are my initials. And then RO for reverse osmosis, how we make the water. And I'm like,
perfect.
Brilliant. That totally works. So what he does is he does reverse osmosis and strips the water basically down to nothing. It's essentially just distilled water with less taste. Which I don't know how you do that, but, same concept. So it's basically stripped down, but then he adds stuff in to make it taste like certain things. So he actually found a beer in Japan that he really liked, and so he got a sample of, like, the water that they use, and he creates it now in Florida.
Oh,
but it
cool.
tastes exactly the same because he's able to recreate the water.
Sure.
So the water's become kind of a big thing in brewing, too. You know what I mean? Not just throwing a well down and trying to, source water that way,
right.
but actually stripping it down and getting it to a certain level, so...
and just to back it up a little bit, because I just had a thought here. People kind of got Kona and a little bit of hot water, kind of claiming it's brewed on the island, but kind of not, kind of that it's beer from Hawaii per se, but it's pretty much manufactured in Oregon and New Hampshire. Do you suppose they do that just for distribution purposes and how much cheaper it probably is to build a brewery in the continental 48 and distribute it through the 48? If you built a brewery and brewed everything in Hawaii and had to ship it
oh my God,
to the 48 every time, the cost of that would be enormous.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So I wonder if that went into their decision making of building it in the continental 48 just for to distribute and get it out there.
I don't know how much the cost would be, but I would have to agree, because unless you're shipping a full container ship worth of beer across, like, and it's like a 7 day, of course, cruise ship wise or whatever, like it's a 5, 6, 7 day trip.
It sure
via
is.
ship. Like,
yeah, it's a 6-hour flight.
Yeah.
From Los Angeles. When I flew from Los Angeles to Hawaii, it was 6 hours, maybe 6.5 somewhere. I don't remember exactly. But when you get there, when you're shopping, like for a gallon of milk, there was $6-7, and that was 7 years ago. Can you imagine if they had to ship beer from Hawaii to the U.S.? They're going to have to eat the cost somewhere or jack up the cost of the beer. And, well, if you're paying $10 for a beer, a single beer, people aren't going to do that in like a tap room or a bar, or if you have to go buy a case of beer from, the liquor store. What's the average case is what, $12-18 roughly? Well, if they're shipping it up there, who's going to pay $30-40 for a case of beer?
Right.
So maybe that was part of their strategy and the reason as to why
and it'd be interesting
have those facilities here.
And I'm sure that's probably why they probably looked at the numbers, and they're just, like if you're shipping, I'm not saying it's going to be in a full container ship full, because there's a lot of stuff you can get on a container ship. But if you're going to put, 4 full containers worth of beer? I don't even know what size container you would need to have to be able to, distribute nationwide that much. But we'll say if it maybe 10 containers of beer, that's got to be millions of dollars in shipping cost right there for one trip.
Right.
So if you put instead $1 million towards building a facility on the mainland, now you're already there. You know what I mean? You're still making the same stuff. But I feel like maybe that's a cost benefit, more cost effective kind of deal.
You would think so. That's what I'm going with. I'm going with that's why they built it on the mainland and not
I
one of the
completely like it.
islands.
I agree.
Yep.
So some of the Hawaiian routes that they talk about, they have 250 employees working on the big islands or the random islands in brewery, restaurants, and corporate offices. So some other stuff that's kind of interesting, the Rift Zone Ingenious Red Ale, which is something that I will definitely have to look up when I go to Hawaii at some point in time, is brewed with yeast cultivated and found only on the volcano rifts on the Big Island. So
That sounds interesting.
kind of a fun little deal with that. Pipeline Porter is brewed with 100% Kona coffee from their neighbor on the Big Island, Cornwell Estate. The ginger in their Big Island ginger beer is cultivated in Kona. The lemongrass on the Lemongrass Ginger Luau is grown on site at the employees' houses.
Cool.
So
That's some interesting stuff there.
a lot of different things with that. Cacao nibs for specialty beers are sourced from the original Hawaiian chocolate factory, and many, 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 many more things. So in 2009, Kona was ranked number 14 in all sales of craft brewers in the U.S. 14. That seems really high.
That was higher than I was expecting.
Absolutely. This is according to the Brewers Association. Kona's beers are available in the United States in 25 states and the District of Columbia. I feel like it's maybe wider now, but this might have been just in 2009. So, Longboard Island Lager, Big Wave Golden Ale, and Fire Rock Pale Ale available all year. Waialua Pale Ale and Pipeline Porter, limited releases of the Aloha series, available for 6 months in bars and grocery stores and specialty beer shops. The Wheat Ale available from March through August, and the Pipeline Porter from September through February. Then they also announced another Aloha series beer, Cocoa Brown Ale, available to the West Coast in February of 2011. Some details here about the caps and the labeling, the collectible caps. I guess these caps are collectible. They look like caps to me.
We threw them down.
Yep.
So
So it's a thing. It's fine.
they're collectible.
And then, so the crater in the background is a diamond head, and then the label shows surfers backed on Hawaii's volcanic mountains ride blue waves toward Broad and Sandy Beach. So the logo itself echoes tribal tattoo, according to the local vibe. Company produced commercials with its Brudas campaign with David Bell and Brutus LaBenz, who play friends making observations to mainlanders while discussing Kona beers. Which I feel like I've seen some of those commercials, if I remember correctly. But
Yeah, I don't know if I have, but Diamond Head is familiar because my daughter and I went hiking and we climbed Diamond Head Crater on Oahu. So that was kind of fun.
there you go.
Yeah.
So some of their sustainability, we talked a little bit about this before, but they support numerous community events throughout the year, including surf and surf-inspired events that celebrate Hawaiian people, land, and water, and include sponsoring professional surfers Jeff Silva and CJ Kanua. They also support the Sierra Club's Blue Water campaign, a number of chapters of the Surfrider Foundation, including the Pacific Northwest and Hawaii's Surfrider Kona Kai'ea chapter.
Okay.
Just had to get a little taste there. It's getting a little dry again.
It sounded like a tongue twister.
It's been known to happen. They also brings the Snow Kona Pond skim to Mount Hood Meadows in Oregon, where each spring costumed skiers and snowboarders skim across an icy pond. They're able to compete for a number of prizes, among them a trip to Hawaii. That's kind of a fun thing to be able to do.
Yeah.
Kona Brewing is also the sponsor of the Portland's Backyard Bang, a snowboarding rail jam event on the streets of Portland's Pearl District and the Art Institute of Portland. So, a lot going on. They also supported a 15-city North American tour for the Lost Prophets, a band that I think they only had one big song that I can think of.
Yeah, I think there's just one. I recall the name, and I know I've listened to them, and I know I have some of that downloaded on my computer. But heck, if I can, it escapes me right now.
I can picture the song. I got it rolling in my head, but I just can't get there to the title of it.
Like I feel like it's
something about a train, but I don't know. I don't know that I'll get there.
Yeah.
Kona had a sustainability coordinator as of 2008, and according to Big Island's Visitor Bureau Sustainable Tourism Practices section, Kona's restaurant was constructed with recycled materials and adorned with native woods, local produce, fresh caught fish, and sustainably raised beef on their menu. Heat reclamation processes in the brewery greatly reduce energy demand. Plastic, paper, metal, glass, and cardboard are recycled. Takeout containers are made of plant-based materials, and automatic faucets and toilets reduce water usage. So, a lot going on there with that.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
The Last Train Home. There we go. Lost Profits. The Last Train Home. You'll know it if you hear it.
If I heard it,
we'll play it. We'll have the tech guy will drop this in here right now and play it through this little interlude while I take a drink of beer.
Yeah, as long as they don't sue us or send us a cease and desist letter, we'll see what we can do.
yeah. We'll stay at standard. What is it? 3 seconds or something like that.
I think so.
I don't know, whatever it is. So now we've reached the controversial section. In March of 2017, Kona Brewing Company faced a class action lawsuit. Class action. That means everybody's jumping in the pool on this one. The claim was whether its beer was actually being brewed in Hawaii or not. I feel like this is, to a certain extent, this is why it says those different locations on the label. You know what I mean? I feel like that's part of what it is. Because I feel like, and I'll kind of read through this and we'll kind of make our own decisions, based on what it comes out with here. But I feel like it's when the major chip companies sued Pringles because they're not potato chips.
Potato chips, yeah.
Because if you ever look at a thing of Pringles, it says potato crisps because they're cooked a different way or something like that. You get super petty, and then people just make slight adjustments, and it's fine.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's kind of that same kind of bit. But.
And Pringles are kind of fake, too. They're not like real potatoes and all that mumbo jumbo either. I saw a documentary about that. They're pretty fake as it gets. They're cancer chips,
right?
Basically.
I'll take it, though.
Yeah.
I love Pringles. Just a regular standard Pringles. Give me like a whole tube of those things.
I like the salt and vinegar ones and the dill pickle ones, man.
They are, Pringles are legit. Fake, even if they are fake, whatever. That's right. I like fake things too. I can like real things and fake things.
Yeah,
it's fine. So in September of 2020, the case was settled and appeals were resolved. It doesn't really go into like the details of what it is, but this is the funny part here. So it doesn't give me a full total here, but you're gonna enjoy this. Purchasers of Kona beer between February 28th, 2013 and June 14th, 2019 were compensated up to $20 each with receipts.
Wow.
Or $10 each without receipts.
So we could have just signed on and got a $10 bill.
Apparently.
Where were we at when this was happening?
I must have tried some Kona at some point in time during that.
This was that towards another case of beer.
Oh my God! I probably tried it when I had the bar. So I probably had it. I probably don't have the receipt for it though. So
the fact that people sue for this stuff is getting out of control. It's been out of control for probably 10 years now. But really,
it just doesn't stop.
Really, like who cares where it's brewed? If they're actively advertising, oh, we brew this in Hawaii. This is homegrown. Okay, maybe false advertising, change your advertising, but. Really? But people just sitting around looking at companies just for things to sue them over?
Well, I think that I'm not saying that they don't have money, and I'm not saying that businesses don't generally make money, but so many businesses they have this. Everybody has this viewpoint of like, oh, they're a business owner, they have insurance and all sorts of stuff to be able to pay for that. Well, not necessarily. And even if they have insurance, if they end up paying out a big claim, their insurance is going to get jacked up or get revoked.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's how some bars end up shutting down because they can't get insurance. I'm not saying that it's okay, but depending on what's going on or whatever, like yes, hold people accountable, hold people in check. But sometimes it's like okay, you're suing to sue because you think that they have money, but it may just be a dry hole. You know what I mean? Like, they've invested all of their money back into what they're doing.
And especially these class action lawsuits where you're going to get a whole $10. Yeah, that's really worth it, $10. Or if you have your receipt, you're getting a $20 bill.
Yeah. So with that, only their beers served on tap in their Hawaiian locations are brewed in Hawaii. All other beer produced by Kona are produced at Craft Brew Alliance facilities in New Hampshire, Oregon, Tennessee, and Washington. As a result of the settlement, all Kona beer had to include a label as to where it was produced. So, like I said, that is why you look on the side of this in Portland or Portsmouth. So, that's the story on that. So
perfect.
It's a little ridiculous to me, but it's you got to sue for something, right?
Yeah, I think it's a little out of control.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good song by Hoobastank. Out
it
of
is.
Control. Yeah.
I don't know that I know that one. I do like me some Hoobastank.
I do.
But I think the last time I seen Hoobastank live was at the Metrodome with Linkin Park.
They didn't really last very long.
With Linkin Park and Limp Bizkit, if I remember correctly.
Oh.
Yeah, it was quite the. It was the first show, or first tour at least, after. Who's the Linkin Park guitarist that left? Wes Borland. After he had left.
Limp Bizkit.
Yes.
Yeah, not Linkin Park.
No. Sorry, Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, Wes Borland. Yeah.
After he had left, and they replaced him with, I don't even know who the other guy was, but
nobody knows.
Yeah, they were fine, and I don't know, the band they became what they are today.
And Wes Borland's been back for a long time.
Yeah, they had already peaked and kind of went back they went back to Jacksonville.
They're pretty popular now again, though.
Yeah.
They're coming out with a new album soon. They're on tour. It's looking pretty good.
Bring back the 90s, baby.
Yeah, yeah, Vanilla Ice does on the I Love the 90s tour.
Right.
I saw Hoobastank. It was my first concert ever. It was Story of the Year, Hoobastank, POD, and Linkin Park.
Nice.
At Target Center is where that was. So
that'd be a sweet show.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Absolutely. So, well, that's the kind of the story of the Kona Brewing that I got. Anything else that you want to kind of talk about? I got a couple of ideas kind of rattling around in my head too. But
spit them out.
Well, I was just going to kind of touch on, kind of there was a little bit of controversy. Timely wise, this is episode's going to come out probably a couple weeks from now. So this is going to be, I don't know if old news this thing or whatever, but there's the controversy now of we could get into the whole discussion of how it was handled afterwards, but the college players or teams, football teams especially, now want to plant the flag in the center of the field if they get a big upset. We've seen this years ago. Baker Mayfield, I think, did this when he was with Oklahoma.
He did, yeah,
and that didn't go over real well. We've seen it, I think, twice over this last weekend. Was it, I think, Florida beat Florida State or something? There was some upset there. Michigan had big upset over Ohio State, that one got to the point where cops are bear macing people, trying to be able to get the melee to calm down and whatever. But and this is going to go contrasting to what generally I'm like, don't do that. You already won. Yes, you should have tried harder to be able to win or whatever, and then they can't do it. But generally speaking, my mindset is that, don't do that. That's just showing off, or that's being whatever. But this is one of those few things that for whatever reason, I'm like, no. Yes, it's controversial. It's absolutely controversial, and you shouldn't do that. But you know what? Win the game at home. If you lose that game, you don't get to go out there and fight the guys now because they beat you. Right. You should have been fighting during the game. Not fighting, but you know what I mean? Battling and playing harder.
Hard, yeah.
Oh, they disrespected us. I'm like, you disrespected yourself by losing at home. Sorry about it, bro.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I really don't know this controversy because I haven't really. Apparently, I'm under a different rock. So I briefly saw something, an article or a clipping or a headline that Baker Mayfield was talking about it. So maybe it was a clip on the social media. But I just didn't really listen and was scrolling through like everybody else. And the flag planting, That doesn't bother me one bit. If you win a big game, the Michigan, Ohio State, they want to plant their M on the center of the Ohio State field. Well, why not?
Mm-hmm.
It's no different to me from, all those battles that different schools have. We'll just take the Gophers, for instance, the battle axe.
Mm-hmm.
They grab the axe, they're waving it around at center field. We play Penn State for the bell, right? We play Iowa for the pig. All those different colleges that square off for those trophies that they pass back and forth just between the two teams of tradition. What's the big deal of putting a flag in front too? I don't see a problem with it. If you're disrespecting the stadium or defacing the stadium or doing some crazy acts like that, I'd have a problem with that. But if you just go out to the midfield and you're waving your school's flag because you won, so what?
Yeah. And from that standpoint, like, what's funny is you don't see a lot of big fights and melees when there's a big upset and a team storms the field and they tear down the goalposts.
Right.
Like, that's not a cheap thing to replace.
No.
And now a school has to pony up the money that's likely going to come out of the budget for the school or whatever. I'm sure they make it up somehow or file an insurance claim or whatever.
Figure it out, yeah.
But at the same time, like, that's one of those things, like you said, is actually essentially defacing a stadium. Was it Gopher fans that did it when they, like, I don't remember, they pulled off some upset or whatever, and they actually, like, they somehow got part of it out of the Metrodome. They tore it down and they ran it up the stands and they got it out the door.
Okay, so I don't recall that. What I thought
But I don't
you were
remember if it
going to
was
say,
Gopher fans, but
earlier this year in college football, I don't know if it was Vanderbilt or somebody, they lost in their home stadium, and the visiting team, who it escapes me at this current moment, tore down the goalpost, like you said, and it ended up carried like 3 or 4 miles away, and they threw it in the river that was like down the road. Like, that's a problem. I mean, that's funny. I think that's funny, but come on now, like, that's a bit much.
But you don't see like a fight or a melee or like a lot of stuff with that. But like planting like, it's a symbolic gesture.
Yeah.
You're not creating actual damage, and it's like if you still have enough fire in you to fight somebody after a game, clearly you left something on the field.
Right, agreed.
And maybe it was your pride that they're putting that stake right through. But you know what?
And if you don't like
you
it,
should have played better during the game.
Right. And
You
if you don't
lost
like
that game. Your job now is to sit there on the sidelines. That's why I always have great appreciation for, like, especially like championship games, big games, things like that or whatever, when they come out with the trophy presentation. But you see like the one lonely guy that's like, no, I'm going to sit my ass right here and I'm going to watch that. And I'm going to make sure that it hurts so that I don't experience that again. You know what I mean? Like, that, I have a lot of respect for that. Like, not that like getting a championship, but like if it's, let's say you win a title on somebody else's court, you're still getting the trophy and you're having this big display, right? Is that not kind of the same thing?
It is the same thing in my eyes.
I mean, but instead there's ticker tape and TV and everything's involved. It's kind of the same kind of bit. It's just, sit there, your job, you lost the game.
You did.
Yes, there's a level where you shouldn't go like uptown and like steal their women and like pee on their cars or something. I don't know, but at the same time, like, there's a certain level of like, of all the things that are disrespectful, I feel like that's pretty low on the list. If you have that much pride that you won't let somebody do that, then you have to play better during the game. That is your punishment for losing the game. Like you said, they're not defacing things. They're not ruining things. It's not like they went out there with bleach and made a big M in the middle or something like that they're going to have that for months and years or whatever in the field. Like, it's a symbolic gesture that's going to go away in about 15 minutes.
Right, and if you want to, you said symbolic gesture, what happens in, like, you could equate sports, a lot of them have, to battles. You're battling on the field or the court or the ice. Well, what happens when the winner wins the battle of a war or a skirmish or whatever? They plant their flag on the fort or the hill or the land. Or
it's one of the most famous pictures and the most famous sculptures is them raising the flag.
Right.
Is that Iwo Jima?
Iwo Jima. Yeah,
like, it's one of the most famous things ever to be able to do that. So that's what if you're going to, as commentators, make that reference, that's what's going to happen.
There you go. Right. Now, obviously, battling in football is not battling in a real war.
Yes.
But in a figurative sense. You're battling on the field for the victory of the day. So if you want to plant your flag there, fine. For a couple photo ops, whatever. And if you're the home team and you lost and you don't like it, well, go beat their ass next year on their field and plant your flag in front of on their logo.
Yeah.
Like, what's the problem?
Yeah. Well, and that's why I think it's a little bit funny that like I'm okay with this, but back in the day, I hated it when Terrell Owens did like the couple of things. You remember when he came back to the Cowboys or whatever, and he was like, oh, like on the star and went to like the little star in the end zone and stuff like that or whatever. But like
Smith tackled him off the star in center field.
But at the same time, it's like,
line,
stop him, shut him down. I mean, it's easier said than done. Don't get me wrong, I get it, but that's your penance for not being able to stop him.
Yep, no, I agree 100%.
So I don't know. I just thought that was kind of interesting a little bit, but yeah, I guess the Michigan-Ohio State one, it got so bad and so many people on there and everybody was like started to fight and it became kind of a brawl. Cops had to come out there and separate everybody and they were like macing people to get them to back off and stuff like that.
Wow.
And it got almost riotous out there on the field.
I didn't even know. I watched that game. I watched it, but I turned it off right after I left the house or something. I don't know what I did, but
you missed the good stuff.
I haven't even paid attention all week because working third shift, I was no clue that this was some big deal or some big melee in Ohio State. It was crazy. Yeah, that's what the game was. It was at Ohio State.
It was. Yeah, it was in Ohio State. Yeah,
nuts.
It was a 22 and a half was the line.
Yeah.
That Ohio State was favored by, and then Michigan won.
That's too bad.
Yeah,
I can't stand either team.
I don't know. You could have just imploded the stadium at that point.
Yeah.
It would have been fine with me. But no, yeah, that was just kind of. I don't know. That was the thing that I had kind of rattling around in my head. So
yeah.
I don't know if you had anything additional, but that was about all I had.
No, I don't.
So, all right. Well, that's kind of our episode then of the Kona. We didn't even give any ratings. Let's hear lawnmower. This is pretty smooth drinking. Probably a couple of them on the lawnmower,
yeah,
2, 3,
two
one more on the lawn.
2.5. I'll go 2.5.
Yeah.
I'd prefer this more at a fire. I'd say 3.5 at the fire scale because it is an IPA, so it's a little bit bitter-ish, but not because this is an interesting tasting beer. The Gold Cliff IPA, the pineapple flavor. That'd be better sitting at a fire, but I would drink 2.5 of them after mowing the lawn for sure.
It's definitely the pineapple adds kind of that refreshing flavor to it.
It does.
For sure.
It sure does.
So yeah, go out and get yourself some Kona wherever it's brewed at, or whatever controversial location that they reproduce the exact same thing at. So, but I don't know. I still call it a Hawaiian thing because that's where they came up with it, and that's what it's going to be, and that's where their flavors are from. Even if they ship them to somewhere else to put it together, it's imported cars are made somewhere else, and domestic cars are parts from somewhere else made here. Like
pretty much,
it's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Toyota. Now that you brought this up, okay.
So, we've opened a can of worms.
All right,
Just
here we go. Let's open this one here. We're gonna try this one. We probably won't talk about this one too much, but we're gonna at least take a sip of this one. We'll let Andy pronounce what the hell it is because we all know I don't talk and enunciate or pronounce shit right. So
it's a Hanalei Island IPA.
All right.
Ale brewed with passion fruit, orange, and guava with natural flavors added. Which, if you have to add them, are they natural flavors then at that point in time?
I don't know, but it tastes like passion.
Ooh. It sounds like you're going to be passionate about something here.
I'll be somewhat passionate here. So you brought up car parts and this and that.
Got to save my collectible bottle cap here.
Yes. Well, you kind of bent it, though.
Ah, dang it.
So I don't know if it's worth anything anymore. So the car manufacturer that builds the majority of their car parts and assembles it in the United States, what company do you think that is?
Kia.
Toyota.
Okay.
How is that for fun? All Americans, buy American made. Well, then you better buy a fucking Toyota because that's the number one car that's assembled, processed, built, everything here, parts, everything, United States. Down on the list, Nissan's even higher. I don't know about Kia.
I was making something. I was just trying. I have no earthly idea.
But like GM and Ford,
they've outsourced so much.
Canada and Mexico is where most everything's built, sourced, and built. So if you buy a GM or a Ford vehicle, no, you're not buying an American-made vehicle. If you want to buy an American-made vehicle, you buy a Toyota.
Yeah. American designed, maybe.
So,
that might be kind of about it.
yeah, maybe, if that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. Kind of sad that that's the way it is. But I read that, I don't know, a handful of years ago, so that's kind of my little take on that. So I don't need to get too far in it, but you brought up the cars, so you want to buy an American-made vehicle, buy a Toyota.
Well, and it's funny. Maybe we should get a class action lawsuit for the commercials that say the best-selling American-made truck of all time.
That's the F-150.
I don't know.
It's like 40 years and running.
Something like that. At least that's what their advertising always says. So their advertising is fake advertising. False. False.
We should dig in. Hey,
yep.
You want to dig into that? Leave a comment. We'll all join a class action lawsuit.
Exactly. Maybe
Ford,
we can get.
Here we come.
I didn't keep my receipt, so I'm only going to get $10 out of the deal. But it's fine.
Yeah, right.
We're going to get some high-priced lawyer that's going to take all of the money for the class action lawsuit.
Well, hopefully they'll do it pro bono.
There we go.
Because we're not making any money. We could trade them these collectible caps.
There we go.
Yeah.
Maybe if I can figure out how to take mine off without, if I can take my top off without getting bent.
You better talk to your wife about that. So on that note,
we made it all the way through, to the end of an episode. It's fine. It's fine. This stuff is pretty good though. This the Hanalei. It's not quite as easy drinking as the Gold Coast, but it's still pretty, not super heavy IPA, but still pretty good though.
Yeah, I don't like it. That's all I have to say. It's not very passionate. It's not very fruity. I don't like passion fruit. How about that? I don't know what passion fruit is, but
there you go.
The pineapple beer is good. The passion fruit is not.
Less good.
That's all I got.
There we go. That's all. That's his story, and he's sticking to it, folks.
I don't have a description on it. I would drink it. It's fine. It's fine. But I don't guava, passion fruit. Nah. That's not for me.
We'll go back to the Gold Coast as well.
This should be in a seltzer, not a beer.
That would be a pretty good seltzer. Yeah.
Wouldn't be too bad.
So, yeah, either way, go get yourself some Kona, whatever flavor it is you want to get. If you want to get the same mix pack that we got, there's 4 different kinds in there. The longboard lager, the big wave, the Gold Coast IPA, and the Hanalei IPA all in there. So probably one of the more common, I guess, mix packs that you'd get for Kona. Otherwise, you're mostly just getting the big wave, mostly.
Sure.
So, but yeah, definitely go out and check it out and leave us your reviews and tell us what you think of that and tell us what you think of the episode. If you got any ideas about future episodes, definitely let us know. We had a couple of people ship us some beer. We're happy to be able to do the research on your behalf and bring you an episode about whatever it is that you want to hear. So happy to be able to do that. I will say that coming up in a future episode, we can say it now because by the time this episode will come out, I think that we will have recorded said episode.
Yes, we should.
So even though it sounds like we're breaking news here, it won't be broken until after. But if you're watching this episode, in a future episode coming up in probably released in between a month and 6 weeks.
Few weeks,
regardless.
Yeah.
Check out Pete's Out Barbecue, PEETZOUT Barbecue. On Instagram, different social media. He's now selling some of his ribs and different barbecue kind of individually packed and frozen. He's been able to kind of work on that, and it's been kind of fun to like talk to him and see kind of the process. Not really see the process, but see him go through the process of I'm not just going to like take ribs, toss them in a Ziploc, and toss them in the freezer and hope they don't get freezer burn by the time they get to you. It was legitimately, I'm not going to do this if they're going to suck coming out of the bag.
Right.
Because that's not what what he wants to be able to do. He's pretty intent on some good quality. So, but Pete's Out Barbecue, get yourself some barbecue because we're going to do an episode with Clint Peets here coming up with some of his barbecue. He doesn't know this yet, but we've already bought the barbecue we're going to have on the episode. So we're going to have beer and barbecue on the episode. So definitely reach out and see if you can get yourself supplies. I'm sure are running low because I don't know how much he's made, but I know that it was very popular when he put it out there with friends and family, kind of locally. So
Yeah, I know he posted on the Pizza Hut Barbecue Facebook page. He only had like 4 or 5 spots left on his next cook. And when you talk about him smoking and cooking, he doesn't just have a little Peterbilt smoker on his deck. He's got one that you tow behind your truck. Like it's a legit smoker. He's an award-winning smoker. He's won multiple awards this summer. He's no joke. So
yeah, he's competition barbecue is what he does, and it's amazing stuff, and it looks incredible. And I've been wanting to spend some more quality time with his barbecue and him, I guess. And that'll be coming up on a future episode. So definitely, when you listen to this episode, go directly to Pizza Hut Barbecue and find it whether it's Instagram, Facebook. Hopefully you'll be able to secure yourself some Pizza Hut. Likely, we did talk to him about what beer he wanted to have, and I think it's going to be a pretty light beer that day.
He likes Busch Light.
I don't think it's going to be a Busch Light episode.
We're not doing Busch Light. We'll have a lighter beer, but it won't be Busch Light.
Yeah, we'll get him a lighter lager beer, but we'll talk about a different brewery, maybe something local or something. But nonetheless, definitely go to his information, be able to hopefully secure yourself some, and then eat along with us. As we're gonna, I'm gonna try to get some, maybe those little finger towelettes or whatever, because get a little barbecue sauce.
You will, yeah.
Make sure to get that. I don't do a lot of hair and makeup before, obviously, before episodes. So we'll have a little bit of that to be able to work through as well. So, but yeah, look forward to that. That'll be one of the first times we've had a guest on the episode, and we're gonna put him right here in the middle. Maybe a little off center. I don't know. We'll have to see kind of the way that works out. So we're kind of experimenting as we go. But I think it'll be fun to be able to have another person on the episode and be able to bring you not only beer but some barbecue.
Yep.
Because what goes good with barbecue?
Beer.
And what goes good with beer?
Barbecue.
Awesome. See, it's all coming together. So but for now, that's our story on this one, and that's kind of what we got going on. We appreciate you listening. Like, share, subscribe, tell everybody about it, and let us know if you have any feedback on the social media or YouTube, wherever you're checking out. But until next time,
it's about time to hanale out of here.
There we go. Aloha.
Cheers.
Cheers.